I've been reading, some of the video things on YouTube about the movie Get Out. And they want to pretend like this movie is so deep, but in looking at the commercials for the movie,
we dared to let him go. We hired
I already knew what this story was all about. And I decided that I didn't want to go see a movie where black people's minds are taken from them and they become like vegetables serving white people. We're talking about a state of mind. We're talking about going back into slavery. And we're talking about images of, because basically that's what this movie is about. Here you have this black guy who, I guess they're at college, who ends up with this white girl who has this family who lives somewhere, I guess somewhere in the boonies, away from people, who is taking him home maybe for the holiday, for the weekend, for some kind of vacation break. And he's going to her family's house. And he goes there and he meets up with a bunch of characters. But he's looking at the servants who are all black. See, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know, but I can tell. I saw the commercial, and I knew it wasn't a movie I wanted to see. Jeffrey Dahmer, if you remember him, he was in, I don't know, Milwaukee or Cincinnati. I don't know where he was. But he lived in the black neighborhood, and he lived in this building that was all black people except for him. And he was homosexual, and he was doing things, and he was meeting these black guys and bringing them back to his apartment. And he was trying to do a lobotomy, remove their brains so they would be with him forever, but they wouldn't have any mind to do anything but be with him. They'd be totally under his submission. Basically, we're talking about that kind of a thing. And so this movie, Get Out, I don't see why, the commentary and all these people, it's so deep. No, it's not deep. It's not deep. It's not deep at all. The commercial tells you everything. What's so deep about white people trying to bring us under submission? I mean, we go all the way back to slavery. Come on. And we can find that out. We find that out when, police bring you in, white police officers take you and bring you in and handcuff you. The things that they do and how they treat you, because I was handcuffed once and put in a police patrol car. And they're driving around with me and talking to me and trying to intimidate me. And I hadn't done anything. I had not done anything at all to have been arrested for. But it didn't stop them from arresting me. Why? Because they could. And when they sign those pieces of papers and say what you did, you can't undo what they say you did, even though you didn't do it. Because when you go into the court, the law accepts whatever they say as written and engraved in stone. They don't believe anything that you're saying because, the police brought you in and they said blah, blah, and blah. Nobody on this planet could get me to believe that not Bullock, that's the actress, Sandra Bland committed suicide in that jail. I witnessed her when that police officer walked up to her car. I witnessed her and heard her and the things that she said to him as he told her to get out. I overheard what was going on when they stepped past the camera. She was a strong black woman. She was not weak-minded. She was not the type of woman that I would easily believe would have become so depressed in a jail cell that she would have committed suicide. Because I know one thing, she was smart enough to know that she had a case and that she was going to get some money. I know that because I watched that footage. And she recognized the law. And he arrested her for no reason. And somebody said, well, when you looked at the picture that they showed you of her being in jail, you saw her in the orange jumpsuit. But yet she had not gone before the judge as of yet, and she hadn't been charged. So she wouldn't have been out of her street clothes, but yet you see that picture of her in the orange jumpsuit. So why did they change her clothes? So there's some mystery around Sandra Bland. But let's go back to the initial thing of purpose of this video and the way in which we're treated by white people. You know, as a teacher, when I was teaching, one of my students, black, attractive girl, got up and she went across the room and sat down in the lap of the white boy. And I looked at her when she did this, and I was appalled, really. She was a smart girl, and she looked like she was going to go far. And I told her to get up and get off that boy's lap and go back to her desk. She didn't realize that she had appalled me. She didn't even realize what this, you know, what she might have been saying. And her submission. None of the white girls ever got up and walked and sat on his lap. You know, you think back to the days of like Gunsmoke, and you're in the saloon, and the women in the saloon walk and sit down on the lap of the men, because there's this perception of black women, that black women are cheap and black women are easy. And here is this intelligent, young black woman in my class who got up and walked across the room and sat down in the lap of this white boy in my class. I'm a proud black woman, and I certainly was a proud black school teacher woman. And I had her get up, and I had her go back to her seat. I never had a discussion with her. I don't think I spoke to her about that. I don't think I said anything to her about that. But if she sees this video, she should reflect on that day that she did that, and what that signaled, and what that said about her, and who she was, and the type of person she was. And I think if she thinks about that, she would never ever do such a thing as that, because it classifies you as something that you don't want to be classified as in the minds of white people. I knew that she had no understanding, because black kids today don't understand where we've come from. They think that it's always been like it is today. They don't know about being on the back of the bus. They don't know about for whites only. They don't know about the marches. They see these things and they speak about these things and they've seen movies, but it doesn't hit them like it hits us who were on the fringes of it and do recognize it and seen it for ourselves. To them, it's a fairy tale, and it was 1,000,000 years ago, and it's not today. It doesn't affect them. And they still don't understand that they have to work 2 times as hard to get ahead. They don't understand that. They don't understand that they have to sit in class and do all their work, when some of the white students in the class, some of them don't even do any work. It's funny to walk through a hall at school and college and listen to white kids talk. I never even passed in one paper and I got an A. I heard these kind of statements, and I passed in all of the papers and got a B. So I clearly know America. Not only that, I was taking classes. President Obama was elected, and all the fierce things that these white students were sending in the email of this campus. And it took black students to say to me, "Miss, did you read the emails that these kids are sending?" That's what they said to me. "Miss, did you read it?" And I opened up the emails and began to read them, and on the campus email, the things that they were sending. There were threats against the President of the United States, Barack Obama. And I sent an email myself, and I said, because every email has the student's name. When you send something in the college campus email, it's going to have your name. And I said that it was against the law to make any threats against the President of the United States. And if anyone makes another threat against the President of the United States, I was going to drop a dime and call the FBI so they could come to this campus and investigate these students. That's what I said. And then all of those notices and all those foul things that they were saying stopped. And I meant every word of it, because I understand. So when you talk about that movie Come Out, it's not a mystery to me. I knew what I was watching when I seen the video. But I also know a situation of a relative of mine who was engaged to a white guy. And she lived in Alaska. And he lived in somewhere like Idaho or somewhere. And he was in the service, and they got engaged. And he wanted, when they married, that she go to the family farm. And I said to my cousin, who was older than her aunt, I said to my cousin, "Jean, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that she should marry that guy, because he's going to separate her from her family. You don't know where she's going to be. You don't know how to get to her. And you don't know under what condition they're going to force her to live under. Because I'm rooted in my beliefs. I grew up. I was born in the South. We went back to the South every summer. I saw stuff. So I know this thing firsthand. It's not a fairy tale to me. There were tons of black people who got hung and tarred and feathered. Emmett Till wasn't a fairy tale. That movie isn't a fairy tale. And it's not a joke. And those kinds of movies, if a black person made it, they shouldn't be making those kinds of movies. It plays into the hands of those perverted minds and gives them ideas to do all kinds of crazy things. It's funny because, I'm just thinking now about biblical texts and biblical texts. God created the Israelites and he created them to be separate. And he created them to be a peculiar people. And he wanted them to not go into the other nations, not intermingle with the other nations. But also when you get down to the point where you come out of sin, it says, come out from among them. Come out from among them. And that means to come out of the sin and the mess that you're living in. You have to understand, don't put yourself in dangerous situations because you believe that people are trustworthy and that they love you and they got your best interests in mind. You must have a discerning spirit. You've got to know what you're getting into and not find yourself in an awkward position that threatens you. Even women, we're talking about these people who put women and children in bondage, build these dungeons and things out in the woods, down in the ground, in their basements. We've got to have a discerning mind. The devil is busy. Come out. Don't go and follow everybody going everywhere. And don't let anybody take you anywhere. I've always said, somebody's going to try to attack me. They're going to have to kill me right in the mall parking lot, because I'm not going anywhere. They're not taking me into the woods. They're not going to separate me and put me in an isolated place. No, I'm not doing that. We're going to fight to the bitter end. We're going to fight to the bitter end, but I'm not going. So there'll never be a reason for me to come out. Because he called me out. And once he called me out, I came out. And I'm no longer under the bondage of sin and shame. But he also gave me a discerning spirit and wisdom to know and to perceive when something is not right. The moment that boy walked into that house and saw these people that looked like the Stafford wives, he should have been out of there. What are you sitting down and waiting on? Why? I don't need to see the movie to know the outcome. It says get out. He got in, he went in, and the outcome was that he's going to try to get out from among them. He has to run from them, and they're going to try to catch him. I don't need to see that because I saw the commercial, and that was enough for me. I wouldn't waste 2 cents on somebody making a movie that's putting my people under submission and giving us to be chased by white people like we're back in slavery times. No, I don't need to see that. I know that's a reality. Black men are being run down and chased down all the time in the street. I know that's a reality. Even being run down and chased down by their own. That's a reality. That's real. Come out. Yes, definitely come out. Come out from among them. Come out from among them. Have a discerning mind. Don't go into gangs and get involved in negative things and follow people and fall in love with people who don't love you. People who don't have your best interests in mind. I'm talking to these people even in gangs. They don't have your best interests. Talking about we're family. No, you're not. Anybody who's going to take you down a road that can put you into prison is not a friend of yours. Get away from them. They don't like you. Misery loves company. And anybody who's bent on destroying you and taking you into a den to be manipulated and enslaved or put into bondage. How come you didn't see that coming? That's all I can see. I don't need to see Get Out. I know that story already. My Lord. My Lord.